Wow, guys, welcome to Planet Lizzdom. You know what? It's been such a wild and crazy summer. I'm horribly out of practice with my stream deck because you know what? I have been living this summer. I actually went out, I stopped working, and I just enjoyed life. How was your summer, guys? Let me know in the comments. Planet Lizzdom is really designed to be interactive. It's all about tuning in, turning on, and taking part. So tonight, I'm really glad to see a lot of you guys in the comments already. You know, I gotta say, it is so joyful to be back here with all of you, and I really hope that tonight you will enjoy season three's premiere as much as I'm going to, and as much as I know my guest is going to. Guys, straight off the bat, what can I tell you? You know, this person is one of those ones to watch, you know, and I don't want to build him up too much because, you know, I like the surprise, but he's definitely one of Toronto's up and coming and really inaugural guests, magicians and producers, the Mindbender. Everybody, give Jordan Mindbender a huge welcome. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you? Thank you for having me. And great intro, by the way. That was fun to watch.
Thank you. I feel like I opened up that pizza box, tripped, and all the slices just went everywhere.
No, that was great. I loved it.
Thank you. You know, so thank you so much for being here with us. You know, when we talked back in May about having you on the show, you know, I was blown away already by your presence, and I've never actually had the privilege of seeing you perform in person, but I have spoken with you in person many times, and I have to say, you have quite the magnetism, the presence. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that.
A few times, but yeah, thank you for that. I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on your pod.
Well, thank you very much for being here. We were actually the reason we're doing this event tonight is that Planet Lizzdom is actually going to be turning into a podcast, but I wanted to make this a special event as we, you know, say goodbye on video and hello on podcast, because I really love the art of conversation, and I think that Spotify is going to be a really great home for this show. But you're such a visual performer that I really wanted to have this as our inaugural introduction to that.
I love that.
Now,
I'll be here supporting.
Thank you very much for that. I already have a lot of great comments coming up here. Guys, if you have any questions for my inventor, please say hi. This is Rochelle Squiddings Marcoux, one of my biggest fans, one of my best friends. She's absolutely lovely. Rochelle says hi as well. And, you know, Joe's very funny. He's like, have you ever had the feeling that you were being watched? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Now, something I like to do, we were talking about this in pre-show, is I love origin stories. You know, it's all fun and well to read someone's IMDb or their bio or anything like that, but I love to hear it from your mouth. You know, how did you become Mindbender?
Okay, so that's a great question. I love telling this one, and any magicians that are watching in this community will be able to relate to some of this. I love magic. Obviously, my era of magician is Criss Angel. When I was growing up, it was like season 3 or 2 of his show. So it was just starting, and I fell in love with it. And at that exact week I saw Criss Angel, we found out that Baldini, who was a Toronto magician, was doing a run of shows at the Ontario Science Centre. He was doing 2 a day for the 2 weeks of that Christmas break. And I don't live far from the Science Centre, but I definitely don't live close. So we went for the first time. I don't know how we found out there was a magician there, but my mom did take me. And we went to go watch the magic show. It was great. We went on the opening day, the first show of those 2 weeks. And I ended up going back every single day for those 2 weeks. We saw over 50 of Baldini shows in a row. And that's a testament to my mom for, you know, committing to that every single day. We didn't enjoy the Science Centre. We literally went for the show, waited around, probably had something to eat for the 2 hours until the second show. And then we watched the second one. And the last show, Baldini brought me up on stage to do a mind reading trick, something I saw on YouTube. And I remember I even used a Science Centre deck of cards or something like that. And then after that, I ended up taking magic lessons every single Friday with Baldini for 5 years straight. So he was the biggest start to the whole magic. Even though Criss Angel like kind of planted the seed, Baldini was the boom.
That's wonderful. I mean, It must have been such a special experience to work so closely with someone as skilled and talented as him.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, there was, and unfortunately, he did pass away just recently. But during the time, we did work on everything together. It really was a mentor student relationship, and we produced all the shows and everything together. He was my right hand man for at least, even though I took lessons for the first 5 years, even when I stopped taking lessons, he was literally my right hand man for everything for a few years after
That's
that as well.
that's amazing. What do you? I mean, I always, I'm not going to
Thank
ask
you.
what the first trick was that you learned, but yes, what was one of your favorite tricks that you learned from Baldini? Do you have one?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it was one trick, and I have only performed it once, and it actually is became a staple in my career, as an original effect or original act, I should say, because the trick is not original. The trick really came from Bill Abbott. I believe he was in Toronto as a magician. It's the thing. Um, but the way I put a spoof on it was, I another part of my career, and we could go down this rabbit hole, was the Michael Jackson story.
Okay.
So what we did was we designed a whole act around that one trick, and that was for the opening of my very first show. So when we started taking lessons, I mean, I'm sure he taught me some card tricks before, but something like big that stood out to me that I remember was the thing, because that's kind of when it was like we're done learning those basic card techniques. Now you're ready to buy your first big prop for your
Whoa.
birth, so that's kind of where that's the only one that sticks out to my mind, but I'm sure there's other stuff like
That's
moves without revealing everything.
fun fact, Bill Abbott is actually married to one of my public school classmates.
Oh, wow, small
Like,
world.
how random, right?
Yeah, very random.
It was one of those things where I actually ended up having to troll Bill and Rebecca to be like, am I really seeing this right? Is that correct?
I love that. Yeah, Bill's great. Bill's great.
That's so funny. And it's funny, dating Mysterion, I'm really learning how close knit and tiny the magic community is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but it's the 6 degrees of Mindbender, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, it's very small, but it's also very big. Like if you think of some of these conventions, right? And then you really realize how big the community is. But then, like the other day, my friend bumped into another magician just by fluke, and she's not a magician, but she went up to him to ask, I think, for subway directions, and he was doing some magic or whatever. And he knows me, and I know him. But it's just such a small world.
Yeah, no, and I love how small it is because yes, you can walk up to any magician and say, I know so and so, and they'll be like, what? How do you know them? Have you been to
Yeah,
the Bradford Den? What's going on? Are you going to the Magic Castle? Blah 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 blah. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, exactly, exactly.
have you I know you've been on AGT.
Hmm.
Have you when
2017.
was that? Just remind me.
2017, and to be
Okay.
honest, I didn't even realize I can be on that show or even try to be on this show. The truth of the matter is the producer came to my theater show here in Aurora, which I have
Really?
no idea how, and I was doing my sword stunt then, and he's like, I'm a producer for America's Got Talent. I'm like, "Yeah, sure you are," you know. And then he's like, next week we're doing auditions in Detroit, can you get there? And I'm like, sure. And yeah, and they wanted me to do the sword stunt for the actual auditions, and I said no, because I will not. First of all, I'm not going to bring these swords and this contraption through the border, but you know, yeah. So that
That's so
was that. That was that. That was 2017. I did Canada's Got Talent, but I did Canada's Got Talent in 2010, the first season, and then
wow.
it got canceled halfway through. I was doing so well, and it got canceled.
Oh, that's
So
got to
yeah.
hurt.
Yeah. At the time, it did, because it was like it was the first time I was doing something really public as a magician. Yeah, I was probably in it for like 4 years at that time. So
Well,
it's definitely the next step in my career.
and here's where, perhaps maybe you can impart some sage advice. This momentum is being created. You're growing as an artist. you're in the middle of CGT and it gets canceled. How did you handle that and how did you grow from it?
Oh, I remember vividly.
Yeah.
My we were told that I was going to go through the next round, which would have made me, I think, the top 100 in the round. So I guess, if you would compare it to America's Got Talent, I didn't watch this recent season,
Yeah.
but if you compared it to America's Got Talent, it would be the one after the audition rounds. So there'd be
Okay.
that Vegas round, and then it would be the first live round, right? And this was like, we were stoked. And I remember this the first time even meeting Bobby Motto. We brought him on to be a consultant. Ken Margo was on as a consultant at that time. So we were ready to take this like to the real next level. And yeah, I remember we rehearsed, we had the whole act in place. And then my dad called me saying, bad news, they pulled the show. I'm reading it right now in the newspaper. And like, it was like, oh my God. It was probably more of a financial hit because we were hiring these magicians to create these acts for so long. So
True.
then it was like, now what do we do? So then we had to invent a stage show. And then that's where Lethal came into play, my first big theater show.
That is so cool.
Mhm.
And that was also at the Aurora in Aurora, correct?
Yeah. So, Theater Aurora. That's kind of my home. I did a few theaters in Toronto, but for the most part, I love doing them in Aurora. But
Well, I
yeah.
remember we were talking about this pre-show how important it is to have a great working relationship
Mhm.
with, with the theater that you're working in because you're right, it is very symbiotic and the more you get to know each other, the better it runs on both ends.
Right. Yeah. We have a great relationship with them and their team. And their team has literally been the same the entire time I've done shows there since 2013. So I've had
Really?
the exact same team the entire time. This show that's about to happen on Saturday is the first time they actually, I guess, assuming because of the pandemic, people, changed jobs and changed things. But this show was originally booked before the pandemic, and we were going to have the same team. Only one guy is the same, my tech guy, which if anyone's going to be the same, I'd rather it be
Yeah.
him. But I know
Well,
the new staff and stuff, so that's fine. We're good.
you know what? Let's jump right into it and talk about this amazing show that's coming up. I'm going to give you the floor to present it to us.
Okay. Yeah. So we're reaching 9 years of running theater shows at Theater Aurora, and this show I thought would be great to do as the first back live public show. Now, I really don't do many public events ever. I'm constantly touring for private events, and I don't really participate in much open mic or any of those, open mic shows that are always taking place in Toronto. Mainly, I'm not in Toronto. I'm more, outside of Toronto, but I'm always doing private events, so I never get that opportunity. So once a year, I usually like booking this theater and doing a big theater show, giving my friends and family a chance to come on out and stuff. But originally, it's me and Scott Hamill, who we became very, very close in the pandemic. And we just wanted to create something so special. And I truly believe that's what this show is. His act, and I won't say anything about his act, but it really is one of a kind. The tech that's involved, he's put so much effort in that. And then, my show is very interactive and a lot of layers are involved to make everything work. And then we're also filming it for the TV show as well. So yeah, that's kind of the plot. It's so easy to give out stuff without.
Right. Well, and I love that this is happening at the same time as that, and I'm going to give it to you again. Please present to us what is going
Yeah.
on with this.
So that's the only reason I agreed to do the TV deal if I can produce it with my stage show, so I can work on two projects at once.
Okay.
And that was the whole deal, right? That I made with the network was I will give you a television show about an escape, but then I need to do an escape. And then we did the theater show and stuff. So we wanted to merge them together, and we did the bed of nails. And the show's called Mindbenders Great Escape, and it's documenting my stunt that I'm going to do on October 1st, which is the suspension straitjacket escape. But there's a twist. So yeah, those are my three producers that run the network. And I was doing the suspension straitjacket escape. That's the whole plot of the show. But with the bed of nails, is there's going to be a twist. I don't want to say much now, but the bed of nails will be involved in the straitjacket stunt, which hasn't really been done before. However, there was one escape artist in 1930 that did it. Fortunately, he's one of the only that died doing the straitjacket escape. What he would do is when he was doing the straitjacket escape, he would have his people put glass and staples underneath him and stuff. I'll be doing another version of that without glass and staples. Maybe you could piece it together.
That's insane. Like
Yeah, it actually spooking me out a bit. I'm not gonna lie. I've done two big stunts. I would say one might be a little more dangerous than this one, but when you're standing in front of everything without giving it up, when you're standing in front of everything all set up and they're like, all right, we're ready to hoist you up, that's when things get like really spooky. I've never really felt this way before, but that's also because all my other stunts, I was so young, and when you're older, things freak you out more. So I don't know. And then
mortality.
yeah, and I also am using a straitjacket, which is made not to be escaped from. And it's made so escape artists can't escape from it. We're adding 2 sets of handcuffs, 2 sets of chains, and padlocks. So we're adding a lot of things that, yeah. And on top of all of that, since I don't actually have my original crew from like I said, the first show back, it's a different crew. For the first time ever, I'm gonna have a random person put me in all these street jacket and chains and stuff. So that's what's freaking me out a bit. So yeah. And then upside down is obviously tough.
From a safety standpoint, how random is this person? Is this person just going to be like, you, sir, in the audience?
I'm going to feel the people throughout the show. Okay. That's how I usually do it. But essentially, yeah, I'm going to just pick a random person from the audience to do it. And every time I've performed versions of this straitjacket stunt, I've always had my own people put me in the jacket. Right. So
that's incredible. Yeah. Well, I know that we were talking safety during pre-show, and you know how important it is to run the show before the show continuously. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think because of your great relationship with the theater, it sounds like you have been working a lot there with them, and you know, with the fail safes in place, you know, it's got to be dangerous but safe at the same time.
Yeah, actually, well, for the theater is the production office for my television show, so I pretty much was there all month long. We had the hoist and stuff up for a while. We had an issue, and I bought a carabiner from, and I'm giving you a sneak peek from what's in the television show. I bought a carabiner from online, and it was made for rock climbing. But when it came in damaged, and there was 2. And this is 100% on me. Mm-hmm. I, for some reason, mixed the 2 up because I was in charge of rigging everything up. Theodore has no responsibility for the rigging. It was all me. And I mixed it up, and I was mounted up for the first time with a broken carabiner. And we didn't even realize it until my editor calls me saying, we're editing the episode. Are you aware that your carabiner is broken? And then I ended up contacting the company because I literally opened it up at the bag. So it must have got damaged somehow in transport. And I didn't even realize it. I'm not sure. I'm still investigating this with the company that sent me the carabiner. Obviously, I won't say their name or anything, but but again, a lesson learned, right? I still have never done the stunt where I incorporated the bed of nails, though. I will never do it until I have to do it in front of the people. I will not even risk it once. That's how serious that is. But I've gone up and down a bit, you know, and practice hanging upside down, stuff like that. Yeah.
Psychologically, how are you approaching this? You know, what is your psychological training for this?
A lot of magicians that I've spoken to don't understand how I'm doing a full hour show before. That's something I've always done. I always give that's the thing about Sixth Sense too. I do it with all my shows. I find the best magicians in the city. We put on a spectacular show. Scott's not opening for me. Scott is the show. I'm the show. We're the show. He does 40, it's intermission, and I do 40, and then I do the stunt. It is so much for your value. So I got to do the full 45-minute show and then do the stunt. So usually at that time, if everything in my show goes well and my
Mhm.
spirits are high and good, then I think I will be mentally ready and mentally stable. Um, but it's still very freaky when the bed of nails is involved. We did, yeah, so we never wanted to risk it. But every stunt's different. Like when I did the body, I did a stunt where I did the body bag stunt for my 2012 show, where I
Okay.
was placed in an airtight body bag with 7 restraints, and I had to escape from it. That was the most panic I've ever had because I didn't know I was claustrophobic until I did it.
Oh,
And it was
ooh.
my version of it was because I love the buried alive stunt, and no one's going to let you get buried alive in 2022. So what's the closest thing? Let's get put alive in a body bag, and that's freaky. That was really freaky. Um, and then yeah, and then the sword stunt was 2016, and that was a different mindset of nothing. I don't want to take. I'm not trying to take away the. I'm just trying to not leave
Yeah.
out bits of this. But 2016 was more like, oh, if anything happens, it happens because I was completely out of control of what would go wrong if it did go wrong.
Right. Now,
Yeah,
I have to, I'm trying to connect the dots here. Here you are learning magic from the great Baldini. Now here you are doing escape stunts, all this crazy, like, next level physical magic. How did you get from A to B?
great question. Great question. Well, originally it was Chris Angel, right? That originally always made my love for escapes. It was always a thing. I just Baldini didn't do escapes, but he knew people that can. Originally. We could go down the Michael Jackson route now because I think it will kind of move back if you went. After about taking lessons with Baldini for about 3 years, I went to Vegas, and we were only there for 24 hours because we had to go to LA after for some family event. And we went to Vegas. We missed our flight. So we actually got to Vegas in like mid-afternoon. We go up to the Luxor. We're staying in the Luxor, and we're only going to Vegas to see Chris Angel. That's it. After his show, we were going to hop on a plane and get out of there. Obviously we're all me, my 2 brothers, and we're underage, so there was no point of really being in Vegas other than
Oh,
watching Chris Angel.
yeah.
So we get there, and this is again testament to my mother. We check in, and she asked the front desk lady, "What room is Chris Angel's?" Because I know he has a suite here. We were just watching his TV show. The front desk said, "Ma'am, we can't give you that information." And then my mom goes, "I don't think you understand. We came from Toronto to see Chris Angel, and we just want to have a quick word with him. We just want to say hello." And I'm mortified at this point, and my brother's mortified, and my dad's like slowly backing off. And my mom is determined, and the lady at the desk is probably, maybe the lady thinks it's normal because it's Vegas, but like she was like, "No, we cannot give you that information." And literally in walks Chris Angel from the front door. And then my mom goes, "Never mind, he's right there." And then
Oh
we
my
go
God.
up, and he was with the great Luke Dancy, who I love. I had like so many of Luke Dancy's tricks and stuff. So originally, like I was like, "Sick, that's Chris Angel," but I had a question for Luke Dancy on one of his tricks anyway. So hey, Chris, huge fan, Luke. About but yeah, Luke, Chris and I were talking for a bit, and and at this time, like no one like swarmed him. He wasn't like, obviously he was a massive star, but he had his sunglasses on and hat. No one really realized it. So I don't know how my mom did. And then Chris goes, and I was holding Chris's book. I remember reading it on the plane at that time. And
Okay.
Chris is like, "You're a fan of magic. Where are you from?" I'm like, "Toronto." And Chris was incredible to me and
Yeah.
my entire family. He's like, "Do you have a Sharpie? I can sign it." And I go, "No, it's up in my room. I have a magic case." And he's like, "Take your time, go up and get it." And then I came back down. And he's like, "Do you want to film with us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I would love to film with you." So he's like, "Come, come." We signed a release, and it was just me, Luke, and Chris at this time. Oh, Mark Calabrese just came in too. And we literally filmed with Chris Angel for 4 to 5 hours that day straight. And then more people started coming. It was this huge swarm of people at this point. And, Chris often got out of the crowd and went up to my brother and was talking to him, and then went to my mom and was talking to her. And like, he was like, again, we were just random people, but the amount of time he donated to a stranger, I've always found interesting, just in
Okay.
the sense of, the stories we hear and, how famous he really is and stuff. So that was cool. We developed a great little relationship. And ever since then, like we've talked on email and stuff, and we've communicated. But we filmed Devious and Skycap, which was the straw through the bottle, and then Devious was a mechanism that Mark Calabrese created. I don't want to say because I don't want to reveal it, but after that, we watched Chris's show. We flew after that to LA, and then we decided to go to Michael Jackson's house because it was like if you didn't think it was about to get more random, it's about to get more random. My dad used to live in LA. He was in the music industry, and he actually lived on Michael Jackson's street. So, and we're Michael Jackson fans. So we just went to go see it. You can't see anything. Like there's nothing to see. You can just see a gate, and we're like, oh, it's cool. Leave it to my mom to ring the doorbell of the buzzer and say, hey, can we please come in for coffee?
Yeah.
And the security guard said, absolutely not. And then my mom starts kind of like climbing the gate. And then the security guard goes, ma'am, can you get off the wall? And then my mom goes, oh, that was my favorite album. That was my favorite album. And then my mom goes, like, this would change anything. My son's a magician. He'll show you a magic trick if we could come in. And the security guard goes, well, today's your lucky day because Michael Jackson has a personal magician. He's going to come out and talk to you.
What?
Yeah. And then these ginormous gates open, and this magician walked out. His name was Majestic, magnificent. And we ended up talking with him for about 4 hours in the front driveway. He was great friends with the late, great Corey Haim. Who is buried right beside my grandfather here in Toronto. So that was like a instant connection between us and him because he was like a second father to Corey.
Wow.
And then Majestic goes, well, come back tomorrow because at the time they were filming LaToya Jackson's television show in the house. So we weren't allowed in. And then he goes, come back tomorrow and spend the day here. Yes. We went back the next day and we spent the entire day at Michael Jackson's house. And my first 2 shows were fully written in Michael Jackson's living room. And that's where the creation of The Thing came into play originally. Was, you know, my mom was sleeping on Michael Jackson's bed and was holding a pillow, and the feather popped out and she kept the feather, and then we bring it with The Thing, and then there's a few other twists we add that have to go with Michael Jackson. And I think it's one of my most beautiful acts, and I'm really working on reviving it for a new project I'm working on. But how it got to Escapes was that's when we originally pitched it to Majestic. It was like, we want to start doing escapes. And he got us in contact with a few other escape artists. And then we got back to Toronto, and it was where Baldini introduced us to Steve Santini, who was an escape artist in Owen Sound. And yeah, so that's kind of how it started. And then from there, I just really started doing the escapes on my own. I just created them.
First off, your mom is awesome. I love your mom. She is the kind of woman I would sit down and drink martinis with. She doesn't let anything stop her.
It's great. Absolutely. And like, I mean, my brother's an actor. My little brother right now is in the States doing baseball. She is the main reason all of us are living our dream. And she had a question. I don't want her question not to be gone. I just kind of disappeared. It was something about my platinum records.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I collect gold and platinum records. The bad one here and the Madonna one there is my dad's from promoting their albums from when it came out. But the rest I bought on auctions and stuff as a way to reserve. Yeah. But yeah, my mom was really the driving force behind my career too. So
that's amazing. You know, it makes such a big difference when you have a supportive family to, you know, push you, encourage you, you know, challenge you. You know, I love already that your mom taught you that anything's possible. Yeah. Just ask. Oh yeah. Like, all you have to do is ask. What's the worst you're going to hear? No, ask again.
Yeah, you know? No shame. and my dad too. You know, my dad was the one that drove me to all the lessons and stuff. He always opened up his checkbook, you know, when it was time to upgrade to the big stunts and stuff. So yeah, I'm very thankful. And I have students now too, where I straight up say, if you parents are not supportive, this is not going to work. You know, you have to be.
No, absolutely. And I think, you know, the ability to be shameless and be capable of constructive criticism and open communication is such a great skill to have. You know,
absolutely.
Especially for entertainment. You know, there is if you want it, you gotta go for it.
Yeah. Yeah,
know, you
absolutely.
got to go after it. And was there ever a time when you were pitching your Great Escape show that you felt like that dog with a bone, where you were fighting for what you wanted with it, but it wasn't quite there yet?
Yeah, and I think anyone that's ever dabbled anything in television, it was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah,
Literally. I mean, I was blessed with the network Buzz TV Live. They were so good to me and
yeah,
letting me do what I want to do that it really did help everything. But it turned around to like multiple different versions. And I'm really particular now in my career that anything I put out has to be the best art I've ever done. I'm not just going to take any TV deal that was presented to me, to the point where I essentially told Buzz TV Live, please give me this one chance. You do not have to put a finger in this project. Just air it. And we agreed. I end up launching a whole production company to film it and stuff. And I brought on some of my best friends to be a part of it. My girlfriend, she does all the editing and stuff, which is amazing because I'm right here, be able to hear exactly what needs to happen. Before I was a part of an editor and I'd have to keep on going to the production house to look at it. So things change. And my best friend is a writer on the show. So yeah, it's really good, and we really put out something like I don't want to say like no magic show before, but it's definitely a modern version of an escape show, and
okay,
we're already writing a season 2. So
that's amazing.
yeah, so that would be really cool.
Now,
Different.
where, how, when do we see, this amazing series that you've created?
So yeah, that's the running question.
Okay.
um, well, what I just found out recently is Buzz TV Live now has a distribution deal with Roku. So if you have Roku, you can get the Buzz TV Live app, and then you'll be able to watch the show. I think though I don't have I don't I wish I did for you. I don't have the exact date it's going to air because we're still technically filming the show. Although majority of the show is wrapped, but we're getting back together one last time on October 1st because we got to film the big stunt.
Right.
So I will know more around then. But the best place is to follow my Instagram, Mindbender Magic, and that's where the first dibs there. And then I'm pretty sure we're going to probably try to do a public premiere as well. So
Well, definitely keep me posted. I will obviously, I will promote the heck out of it. I will definitely make sure that everybody knows about it because I think it's really exciting what you're doing. When you first told me that you were making this show, I didn't quite envision what exactly you meant.
I didn't
And
either.
then, it's been really special to share the process on social media with you.
Thank you. Yeah, you've been great.
I've been following you all summer, like
Yeah,
what's happening now? Where are you shooting? Who are you shooting with? What's going on? And
yeah.
those little tidbits of information have really helped continue in the hype, to build it up.
Right. Thank you for that, and thank you for your support. Honestly, I really hope we could find a project of some sort that we can do again together, because you've been great, and I know we've always kind of known each other, but yeah, this summer we actually got to know each other on a personal level, which has been great, and you've been great. So I appreciate your support from the bottom of my heart,
My
because that
pleasure.
goes
Well,
a long way.
it really does, and it's the sort of thing where I have this new habit that I actually learned from John Kippen when I was interviewing him last year. And it's this whole notion of the Rolodex, the mental Rolodex. As soon as someone pops into my mind, I'll send them a heart or I'll just reach out for a second and be like, hey,
Mhm.
I thought of you today. You didn't pop up on my feed or, you know, you, an ad didn't show me you. I thought of you.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
think that is so that's one of the highest compliments right now because we are so inundated with information and social media and promotion of everything that sure I can think of Burger King because Burger King is on my feed all day.
Mhm.
It's right there, but if I'm actually actively thinking of someone, that means that they're actually taking up valuable real estate in my subconscious.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm a big fan of people who work hard, creative people. So I think that's probably why you keep popping into my mind because I love what you're doing. I'm excited by what you're doing.
Thank you, and that's what I hope. I want people to be excited because I think that's when some of the shows are the best.
Oh yeah. And I mean there's so much revelation and process.
Mhm.
You can start from A and go to B, but eventually you're gonna end up at HJ8K. you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a great surprise sometimes. You're like, I never
Yeah.
thought I would do it that way, but here we are, you know? So truly, I would love to work with you in the future in whatever fashion. I am open
Yeah.
to the surprise and the opportunity. Who
Yeah.
knows?
You're creative. I'm creative. I'm sure we can create something.
Absolutely. And you know what? Speaking of being creative, we're going to take a couple of minutes break because I want to pay some
Sure.
bills and promote some other amazing artists. So stay
Please
right there.
do.
Don't go
I'm
anywhere.
here all night.
All right. We are playing commercials, so stand by.
Great.
Planet Lizzdom has moved on over to Spotify, where we will interview some of the most interesting folks you will ever meet. So tune in every Thursday, turn on, and take part. And while you're at it, subscribe, because you know what? This new platform is kind of exciting. We're really excited. See you there.
Join me, Rochelle Squidworks of Squidworks Media, every Thursday on Twitch, starting at 4:30 p.m. till 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time for live art, eclectic music, fun facts, visits from my many pets, shenanigans, and more. Also every last Friday of the month for Paintin' and Drinkin' with Rochelle Squidworks, where you tip me, I drink tequila, get drunk, and paint Nick Caged cats, while my good buddy DJ Mark Grimace spins a killer DJ set. For more multimedia art, check out squidworks.com and follow on social media at Squidworks Media. You can also follow me on YouTube for past recordings and playlists. Don't forget to subscribe and like. See you in the channel. Once upon a time, two artists met and it was love at first sight. Over the years, their friendship, the shenanigans, and inspiration grew stronger and stronger. From Squidworks Media on Planet Lizzdom to Tattoo Design Collab, Planet Lizzdom introduces us to the strange and unusual in her cute and creepy style. From paintings to taxidermy, Squidworks Media brings us unique pop culture fan art and mixed media from pyrography to paintings. Come join us at the Grand Trunk in Parkdale, Toronto on Saturday, November 26, 2022, starting at 8 p.m. for Together at Last, a mixed media art show brought to you by Squidworks Media and Planet Lizzdom. See you there.
Hey, spooky friends!
I'm Dr. Mysterion.
I'm Catherine the Great.
Come join us on our new podcast, Hey, Spooky Friends!
Available on Spotify and Anchor.
All things paranormal, spooky,
Weird.
and somewhat bothersome.
That's you.
I think that's me. So we'll see you and you'll hear us
Yeah, both.
on our new podcast. See you then.
Hey everyone! Planet Lizzdom now has a Patreon. Your help will allow Liz to make the show even bigger, cover costs, and help bring on celebrity guests. Go to patreon.com/Planet Lizzdom and pledge now.
I love the community access cable version of sound I just gave. Quiet, loud, hot.
That was great. I was watching it on my phone. I had my phone off while we were talking, and then I realized I could watch it. That was cool.
Thank you. I did play an old commercial. I apologize. Squid Inks, Rochelle Squid Inks is actually now 5 to 7:30 p.m. on Twitch. So I just want everybody to know, and we'll direct everybody over there because she makes the best paintings. I have to take a moment and brag. She painted this for my birthday.
Whoa!
My sister, me, and her, we all did double chin selfies.
That's great. That's great. I love paintings.
So, thank you, Rochelle. It's all about having fun, and I gotta say, I want to celebrate right now, right off the top, that you are sold out. Your show is sold out. People can't get tickets, so too bad.
No, and I actually had to give away my dad's ticket. So yeah, there was an error with the ticket site, unfortunately, but it was all solved and stuff. A good thing I keep 7 tickets without them being sold. And yeah, we really sold out like 85% of the show by September 1st. So yeah, it's been shocking because I was starting to get worried because I'm like, is it too soon from the pandemic and stuff? But it turned around to be great, and it's sold out and we're going to have a great time.
Absolutely. And I know from myself, the general consensus of what I'm experiencing in my world is that everyone is so ready to get back to whatever normal exists now. Everybody wants to go out. They want to experience life. They want the thrills and the chills. And I think what you're going to provide is something that people have really missed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Especially small towns like Aurora, not that Aurora's small anymore, but it's not the city anymore where people go out and it's chaotic. So still.
No, absolutely. Now, what is your poor dad going to have to stand outside and watch on a video monitor?
pretty much. 'Cause because he was always one of the stage hands, but I'm in at the time where it's like I gotta start doing this on my own. Like I do my gigs and stuff on my own, and he comes from a production background, right? He worked with Fleetwood Mac a bit and stuff, so he has some of that knowledge. And I was like, let me do this one show alone because he really hasn't seen me perform since 2016. So I've been touring my show all this time. So, and he's never seen it. So it was like really cool for my family for the first time ever not to be involved with the show. And he just keeps saying that he's getting pushed farther and farther back because he was at the door first, tickets. And then, so I said, I'll pull you up a folding chair in the side wing. So he's like, oh, there's something. I'm back. He's like, I'm backstage now. So.
Well, unfortunately, those fire marshals get pretty up in arms about capacities and safety, you know.
And I'm filming it. We're also we're filming it for a TV special. That's not about my other show, My British Great Escape. So we're working on a new method during this time. So we're bringing in a few more production people for this show. So we're gonna try to keep that under the radar. but we're allowed an X amount of people because of plays and stuff would have those amount of people anyway. So we're still balancing that in a way. But yeah, we're only allowed like I think 6 people that are not in the seats in the aisles. So yeah.
Well, what a high compliment to you that you are running out of space and that your family has to kind of take a back seat for your fans.
yeah. I mean, it's important. I mean, every time before, I mean, I still sell my shows with physical tickets. But before we really sold everything with physical tickets. Now we had an online site and stuff. So it was much different. And we're having more of the public come when before it was more like friends and family would come. So it's a different audience, which is actually making it a little easier for me. I like it. The strangers come over.
Yeah, no, there's something very thrilling about performing to people whose faces you don't know, because it's like no one's paying them to clap, you know. Not that your friends and family, you know, have to like what you do, but there is a certain validation.
Yeah, they're not going to tell me I suck. And I mean, you know, like, you know, maybe actually my aunt did once, but I mean, in the best way possible. Like, she didn't say you sucked, but like, it was pretty much like you kept on saying this a lot and this a lot. But that was like my first show. I was 15, 14.
Well, you know what? So, that brings me to a really great story question. Because I'm obviously I'm a fan of failing because you know that's how you grow. I'm very good at doing that in real time. Was there ever a time where you did fall on your face and recover in real time?
Oh yeah. The one that really pops in my mind, I mean, I'm sure I have a lot with like close-up stuff. I barely do close-up. That's a big thing. When people book me for close-up, it's an hour max and I'm out. Like, it's not my thing. You know, I'll do it 2 hours, maybe 2 hours. I'll give the exception, but I'm a stage person, you know, which is the scariest time to fall on your face. The two that stick out most was, I'm sure. Okay, the one that I'll say the one that can stick out most. I don't have to work around not revealing it. But the one that is when I did my sword stunt. If I could elaborate a little bit more on that, I was in a start position, and I made this myself. Okay, it was a structure, complete structure, 4 wooden beams, and then a roof, and above was 6 razor sharp swords. They were real. They're all connected to a wire, but there was 12 wires. Okay. Only 6 were actually connected to a real sword. The rest were dummy wires. Each wire was numbered 1 to 12. And most people that buy or do professional illusions and stuff, if they bought this professionally made, when those swords drop, they will drop in the exact same spot every single time. This structure I made for myself when I was 16 years old. It was lopsided. Okay. All the strings were attached to the floor by a sledgehammer. And every single time these swords dropped, they would drop in all these different spots. and again, it just shows the carelessness that I was trying to do something so big at the time. And this was something that I literally just wanted to create. And the method was definitely a unique method, but the swords were labeled 1 to 12, or the ropes were labeled 1 to 12, and I had 2 handcuffs, so a handcuff here, handcuff on my foot, and another handcuff on my foot in a start position, and I'd have 60 seconds to escape before someone gets to come on up and cut a wire of their choice. What I didn't really realize was that these swords are always dropping in a wrong place. What happened was, if my chain link, someone cut a sword that was on the right leg that I did not escape from yet. So if my handcuff was 1 chain link smaller, the sword would have went completely through my leg. There was a cut and whatever. And then the day after that, I mean, we all magicians, every magician knows of a magician that hurt themselves doing the spike trick, right?
Okay.
The spike trick. Everyone knows a magician that's done that, has gone wrong. I don't. I know someone, me, who did the razor blade trick. That's what went wrong once on me. I was swallowing the razor blades and cut the inside of the back of my mouth. And this is for any young magicians out there that want to do danger acts.
Okay.
If you're going to do a danger act, do it at the end of the show, because I had an hour show left.
No.
And I had an hour of walk around magic after that too.
No.
So now I'm like, and I didn't really know I was cut. I cut myself until I pulled the razor blades out, and I realized that there was some on my thumb. At first, I thought I cut my thumb, but when the taste of blood, as I'm pulling it out, I was tasting more and more blood, and I'm like, I am screwed. And I was panicking at this point, but I think somehow the magic gods were on my side, and I just made it to the point where I was bleeding the entire time, but I wasn't like gushing, to the point that as long as I just kept drinking as much water as I could, I was fine.
Okay.
So the audience must have thought I was really dehydrated, because I was literally chugging back as much water as possible. That was the first time, but no one noticed. I mean, maybe some might have. A bit of the razors were red or whatever, but to the point, no one actually asked me, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And then I just was a very shy close-up magician, just not talking as much as But the one big time it fell on my face was when I was doing the trick Lethal. It was the classic Bobby Motta trick where they pick a card, they put it in the deck, I throw the cards up, and I throw a knife, and the knife stabs one card.
Yes, I know that one.
Yeah, without revealing much. The knife vanished. All right, the person lived, and what happened was the knife. Let's just say the knife appeared with the card stabbed like 10 minutes later on the board. The guy was holding a board, like a wooden board, or like we cut a square wooden ply board, and I threw it, right? And like, it wasn't there. I'm like, okay, well, I said, all right, I guess things are not as lethal. So then I put the board down on the table, and then just out of nowhere, you just see the knife appear. So that was the first time people were like, huh?
That's great. I mean, what can you do at that point, right?
Right. And I mean, like, I've now, and again, these all happened when I was so young in my career. I remember the Lethal incident was my very first ever corporate event, or first ever banquet hall type of event. I remember it vividly. Now my show, it's the audience that is responsible for everything. It's me that is only in charge of making everything connect. So if something goes wrong, it's a fun thing. It's not like, hello, that wasn't supposed to happen, then it wasn't supposed to happen. And again, without revealing too much, that is a big part of the new show. My new show, The Experience, which I was, at least as an artist, I was talking to my singing friend the other day, and we were talking about how Ozzy still thinks he never made the perfect album. And we were talking on how Blizzard of Oz is the perfect rock album. How do we, can a performer ever say they've done something that was perfect, right? And I could have never said that. There's always was a flaw in one of my shows, or at least one. I'm sure there was more, but at least one that I can tell you each one of my show if we had all day. But The Experience is not just perfect. I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's perfect in the sense that it's the audience that really, really enjoys being on that experience. It's not so much of a magic show, it's an experience. Right. So people feel different than a regular magic show, which makes things really good. I don't know now how I would be able to write a new show though, because this one would be hard to top in the sense of how I plotted everything and created it. And I love touring a show for a year and then changing a show. I change shows rapidly. Before the Theater Aurora shows, before the pandemic, I'd do a Theater Aurora show once a year. And every year I do a different show. This one, I'm going to take to a next level and start taking it to the States and start touring it a little more.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like how how your process is. Oh, and it's so funny. John Kippen is calling me right now. That's hysterical. I don't.
Is he watching?
Well, I'm not going to answer right now because it's an audio call. We're in the middle of the show here, but thank you, John. I will chat with you later. Something I love to talk about is something called, or that I like to call, living history, where you're in a moment and you know it's going to become a core memory, and you're in the middle of doing something very profound that you feel is going down the line to be a big footnote in your history. Have you had that moment yet in shooting all of this and creating all of this?
Ooh, I think the lab, it's the thing. When I finally accomplished that act, I did it once years ago and it was not perfect, and I never stopped working on it but never performed it live. I truly believe it will be that once I officially, there's some missing parts that I need to find first. It's spectacular if those parts can work, and then it will be a staple. Absolutely.
Awesome. I love that you respect the process.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very, very particular about it. Like, I won't just do anything. And I say this to all my clients. Like, if you don't think this is going to work, don't book me because you want a magician, right? Let's make, because I take more pride in my art than I do the money. Anything I will ever perform on stage will be perfect, for them at least. It could, I'm trying my best for it not to go wrong, but for the most part, I make sure everything is very thought out, and I'm not just doing a random card trick in a mind reading show.
Smart. I like the way you think. And I am sad to miss your show on the 1st, but I'm very excited for you. And I really hope that, you and I can circle back for a part 2 to talk about that.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
Looking at the clock, I'm like, I gotta love you leaving. I'm so sorry. The hour has come up.
I know, it's so sad. It goes by quick. But we were talking about live TV before, and that's exactly what.
Well, that's just
like, for a minute, and it's like 2
my
seconds.
little producer's like, wrap it up, 5 minutes, that sort of thing. But that being said, we will definitely make sure that we do a special event with you when we circle back with you, because I think, it's really important to have that visual element with you, even though Planet Lizzdom is going to be moving to Spotify, and this episode will be up by weekend's end. And definitely go subscribe, guys. Go to Spotify and subscribe, because you know what? This is all for you guys. If there's someone you want me to interview, let me know. But I'm so honored that you would take the time to sit down with us.
I'm honored. I'm honored to be on the show. I'm a very private person, and I don't do a bunch of these public things. So I feel very comfortable with you. So I'm very thankful for you having me on the show.
Thank you. I think you're a big deal, and I'm really happy to, to share this time with you. And in magic, should I say break all the legs? Would that be appropriate for your show?
Yeah. Maybe when you're not hanging upside down, but break minds.
Break minds. Here we go.
I say break a leg, but don't actually, because if you do, it'd be awkward.
Yes, it would be awkward, definitely.
No.
Mindbender, thank you for everything. Please stick around for a minute. I'm going to say my goodbyes, but everybody, thank you for being a wonderful audience and so warm and welcoming to Mindbender tonight. I will see you soon, sir.
Thank you so much. You're amazing.
Wow, guys, I can't believe that hour went by so fast. I only meant for this to be 25 minutes long, but the conversation and the insight is just too exciting. Planet Lizzdom will be turning into a podcast on Spotify, so stick around in Facebook. on Instagram, all of my social media. I will be posting links to it. Please subscribe because, again, the show's for you and I want you to be entertained. In the meantime, have a great weekend. We're already at Thursday and spooky season is upon us. So definitely go out, do something Halloweeny this weekend and live your best life. Have a great night, guys. I'll see you soon.